Man, that music kind of made me ready to go run through a wall or something, get going here. Before we get started, I'd like to recognize we have a lot of special guests here with us this evening. And I'd like to ask each one of these gentlemen or ladies to stand, and then we'll give everybody a round of applause at the end once everybody's standing. North Carolina Senate Majority Leader Harry Brown is with us tonight. Chairman of the Onslow County Board of Commissioners, Jack Bright. Onslow County Commissioner Mark Price. City of Jacksonville Council members Angelia Washington and Bob Warden. Chairman of the Board of Education for Onslow County Schools, Pam Thomas. Onslow County School Board members Earl Taylor, my good friend Paul Wiggins, and Lieutenant General Ronald Bailey, United States Marine Corps, retired. Thank you all so much for being here with us this evening. I'd also like to introduce members of the Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Commission Board of Directors here with us tonight, and same rules. I'll ask you to stand up one by one, and then we'll clap for you all at the end. Chairman of the Board, Mr. Steve Goodson. Vice Chair, Mr. Davidson Myers. Treasurer, my seatmate here at table number 4, Mr. Steve Wangren, who's also from Coastal Bank and Trust. This guy went to high school with me. Secretary, Mr. Matt Cox. Hey, Matt, what's going on, man? Good to see you again. Mrs. April Clark. Mrs. Carol McIntyre. Mrs. Jackie Barton. Dr. Scott Playford. Mrs. Mary Thomas. Straight off the practice field, Mr. Mike Tootin. Colonel John Kopka. Oh, Mike, you guys stay standing up. We're going to clap for you all in just a second. And finally, Mr. Mike Carter. Now, so Mike can sit down, let's give everybody a round of applause. All right, at this time, we'd also like to give a big special thank you to our title sponsor. That's Coastal Bank and Trust. And Mr. Richard Jefferson is the CEO of Coastal Bank and Trust, and we're going to ask the president and CEO, Mr. Jefferson, to come up and give us a quick couple of words. So please help me. Don't make him walk up here in silence. Let's welcome Mr. Richard Jefferson.
Thank you, Jones. On behalf of our shareholders, board of directors, employees, and customers of Coastal Bank and Trust, I'd like to welcome you all to the Coastal Bank and Trust Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Tonight we honor the class of 2018. Congratulations to each of you, and thank you for allowing us to celebrate your achievements in sport. Part of the Sports Commission's mission is to inspire the development of sport within our community, understanding that doing so improves our community. We at Coastal Bank and Trust believe we have an obligation to be a good civic partner and to improve our community as well. With that being said, I am pleased to announce that we have extended our commitment to remain the title sponsor of the Hall of Fame through 2022. Thank you. Thank you for your support of the Sports Commission. Thank you for attending tonight. And once again, congratulations to our honorees. Please enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Man, 2022. I hope to be back for that one as well. It'll be my 7th consecutive Coastal Bank and Trust. Thanks again to Coastal Bank and Trust for their support and their sponsorship of this event. It's been a great partnership, and it will be for a long time, as you heard Richard say. We also want to thank the City of Jacksonville Media Services as well as the Hilton Garden Inn for hosting our ceremony tonight. And please help me give a big round of applause to Mad Boar Catering and their staff for our meal this evening. All right, now please help me welcome the Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Commission's Executive Director, Scott Smith.
Good evening, everyone. Jones is a little taller than me. I'm very excited to be here at my first Hall of Fame event. And Jones, thank you for being here. You make this event great. Congrats to this year's inductees, all very deserving. It was so sad this morning to hear Mr. Mason's passing. I talked to him 2 days ago, and I know he was very excited about tonight. So it's been a tough day. But thank you to Coastal Bank and Trust, Richard, Board of Directors, staff. We truly value this partnership, and thank you for continuing that partnership. Thanks to Hilton Garden and Jacksonville. The technology, this room looks amazing, so thank you for that. Our Board of Directors, as well as the selection committee for this event, they do a great job. They give up a lot of time, and you know, they don't have to do that, so we thank them for that. But I can tell you that this event would not happen without Mr. Mike Carter. So I want Mike to stand up one more time, and let's give him a round of applause. Thank you, Mike. I would definitely be remiss if I didn't recognize the staff. I'm the one that's up here talking, but they do all the work. So Marisa Reeder and Jordan Brown, would you please stand? Obviously, Mr. Spinks will be honored a little later here tonight, but make sure you check your program. There's an ad in there for tomorrow night. We're having our Marine Chevy Freedom Fight. Along with Mr. Spinks, another former gold medal winner and heavyweight champion, Ray Mercer, will be in our VIP area. So you can buy tickets at the door. So you have fun tonight. Come out and have more fun with us tomorrow night. And thank you also, where'd it go, to my friend Wes Moore for being here. Not only is Wes one of the nicest guys you ever meet, he's also one of the greatest coaches. And I look forward to what you're going to say later, and I'm sure you probably do too. Yeah? All right, please know that this Sports Commission Board of Directors and the staff, we're working hard every day to benefit Jacksonville and Onslow County. And I want to tell you a couple ways that you can help us as a nonprofit. Number one, by attending events. You're here tonight, so good first step. Come out and enjoy some more. Become a friend of the Sports Commission. There's an ad in your program for that. Not only can you have a lot of fun, but it helps us accomplish our mission and what we're trying to do and what we're trying to grow. And then lastly, just follow us on social media. Check out our website, playjosc.com. That's how you'll know what we have going on to be able to keep up with everything. So thank you. Hope you enjoy your evening. I would now like to ask the chairman of the board, Mr. Steve Goodson, to come up and say a few words. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. He told me 2 days ago that I was talking, and in much fashion, I have not prepared anything. So that means it'll be brief. So on behalf of the board of directors and staff, I just want to thank everyone for coming out. This is a great night. Since I've been involved with the Sports Commission, since its inception, actually, I took a little hiatus for several years, but I was on the original board when it started. This event has grown and grown and grown, and the Sports Commission can't do it by itself. It's truly a partnership. Richard, we want to thank you. And by the way, we actually, when you signed that contract, we went in and changed it to 2025. So we added 3 more years to that. So you know, and we actually changed the dollar amount too. So, but we don't tell you. But so with Coastal Bank and Trust, Glenn Hargett, and the City of Jacksonville and their media services folks, this event has become just a wonderful event, which it should be a wonderful event to honor these folks. So, in keeping it very brief, 2 more things. Whoever arranged the table sitting tonight, I just want to say thank you so much. That's the White Oak Viking table sitting over there. So I'm going to give them a big round of applause. So that's like my coach, a couple of educators, and Mr. Wiggins was principal over at White Oak after I graduated, but he sat me with the White Oak Viking table. And one last thing, and I'm going to embarrass her because I told her I was, and she thought I forgot. But we had a meeting this morning for the Executive Committee of Sports Commission, and Carol McIntyre sat right beside me, and somehow, in some unknown fashion, she was able to keep her mouth shut long enough to not tell me that today was her birthday. So we're gonna make Carol stand up, and we're gonna embarrass the hell out of her, and we're gonna sing happy birthday to Carol. And somebody, I guess I can start the singing, but I'll back off the microphone. So Carol, stand up for a minute. Oh, you are? Oh, you are standing. I'm sorry. So we're gonna sing happy birthday real quick to Carol. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Carol. Happy birthday to you. Folks, have a great night. Thank you.
You know, Steve, I graduated from Jacksonville High School. It warmed my heart to hear that small smattering of applause for the White Oak table over there. By the way, okay, when they were messing with the microphone, so I was doing an event the other day with Eric Montross. I don't know if you guys know who Eric Montross is. He played basketball at Carolina. Eric is 7 feet tall. You want to have some microphone problems when you're up here talking to somebody? Now, I may have told this story before. If I did, stop me. Did I tell this story 2 years ago about when Eric and I were in Lexington, Kentucky for the first time? Somebody was here. Did I tell this? Okay, good. All right. So Eric Montross, former All-America at Carolina. And I know I'm going to be fast because y'all aren't here to hear me tonight, but I love this story. So Eric's former All-America at Carolina, went and played in the NBA for 10 years. Heck of a guy. He's come back to live in Chapel Hill. He and I do the radio broadcast for Carolina basketball together. It pains me, by the way, how well Coach Moore has done at NC State with the women's team. So it was first year Eric and I were together on the radio network, and we were in Lexington, Kentucky. Carolina was playing the Wildcats. And it was 2006. If you're a Carolina fan, it was the year that Tyler Hansborough's class was a freshman. Carolina wasn't expected to be great that year. They go in, they end up getting a big win over Kentucky. You had Rajon Rondo and some others. But anyway, so Eric and I are kind of walking around. We don't quite know how to get down to where we want to go. And if anybody's ever been to Lexington, Kentucky, it is actually connected to a hotel. Rupp Arena, you walk through a door on the concourse of the hotel, and you're in the concourse of the arena. So we kind of stumble our way through. We find our way to an elevator. Eric and I go down the elevator, doors open up, and an area probably the size of maybe me to the wall over there, just about these for the width of these tables in front of me. And doors open up into this little area right in front of us, and it is jam-packed with people waiting for the elevator. These are all people who have been preparing the arena for the upcoming game. And so the doors open, Eric and I are standing there, and we got all these people staring at us. This little woman, tiny older lady, shuffles right up to Eric. Now, I mean, Eric, some people say they're 7 feet tall. Eric is 7 feet tall. I come up to like right here on Eric, and I'm 6'3". This woman probably came up to maybe his belly button. And she gets right up in his space, and she looks up to his face and down to his toes. And she goes, "Now, sir, how tall are you?" I swear Eric gets asked this question every day of his life. And if he's feeling a little frisky, he'll say 6'12". If he's feeling good, he'll say 7 feet. And so this day, he was in a good mood. He said, "Well, ma'am, I am 7 feet tall." She looks back down to his toes and back up to his head again. And she goes, 7 feet and gorgeous. Needless to say, we have never let him live that one down on the road as we have gone through the last several years. I want to say congratulations again to the Sports Commission and the community on the success that they've had over the last year. I know you guys have a bunch of stuff coming up over the next year as well, and it's really great to see how active this community is. As Mr. Jefferson said, having a strong sports commission and athletics is just the right thing to do, and it's great to see that this area is really embracing it. Now, before we recognize the new class, I'd like to recognize the current members of the Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Hall of Fame that are with us here tonight. As you hear your name, please remain standing, and again, we will clap for everybody when things are done. First, representing the late Joe and Ruth Morgan from the class of 2003 is their grandson, my good friend Cannon Morgan. Cannon, stand on up. From the class of 2008, Joan Riggs. From the class of 2009, Bob Sanders. Also from the class of 2009, Bob Vroom. From the class of 2010, Francisco Blanco. Also from the class of 2010, big-time Tar Heel, Dr. Ken Morgan. From the class of 2014, Ronnie Ross. From the class of 2015, the son of Joe and Ruth Morgan, the father of Cannon, Billy Joe Morgan. Also from 2015, John Lyles. From the class of 2016, Homer Spring. From the class of 2017, Ellis Dillahunt. And also from 2017, Jack Bale. Please give all these fine members a large round of applause. As you can see, the class of 2018 is going to be joining a prestigious group of men and women. Thank you all for being here this evening with us. Each year, the Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Commission accepts nominations for the Coastal Bank and Trust Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Hall of Fame. Consideration is given to character, integrity, and sportsmanship. Yet somehow Billy Joe Morgan still made it in. While other criteria must also be fulfilled. I told y'all, he gave me my first job ever. I was a runner at his law firm. I can give him something now. Criteria ranges from state or higher athletic recognition while a resident of Onslow County or while stationed at Camp Lejeune, Camp Geiger, Camp Johnson, or the Marine Corps Air Station on New River. It's also for coaches or special contributors who made a significant impact on sports in Onslow County. This year we have 4 new members joining the Coastal Bank and Trust Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Hall of Fame. Let's meet our first inductee.
Coaching her in basketball in middle school, I could tell that she had the potential to be one of the best ones we've ever had at school. Once she got up to high school, Coach Ross took her over and took her under his wing and helped mold her into the player she was when she went on to state.
She was about 6'2", could run the floor as fast as a point guard, no problem at all. So she had a lot of ability that way.
Peace was one of those athletes that every high school coach dreams of. She came in as a freshman standing over 6 feet tall. She had a desire. She was ready, willing, and able to do whatever it took to work hard to make her the star that she really was.
Fortunately, we got her away from, as she would tell you, Coach Lyles had something to do with her not being a cheerleader. That probably happened because her success in basketball has been pretty good.
We won 94 games in 4 years. That's almost 25 games a year. In her sophomore year, we won 22 straight before we lost one. That school record of 22. Junior year, we ended up winning 27 in a row before we lost, and that's now the school record.
She had an impact on Swansboro High School immediately. When she started with Joan Riggs playing volleyball, they went to the state championship, and I don't know if Peace was just naive of the pressure she was supposed to feel or was just that confident, but she went on that year and started out and won a state championship and got the MVP in volleyball that year, and she was not nervous at all.
She could stand flat-footed on the floor and her arms were well above the net in their face. She could step from side to one step either way and she had the net covered, so they couldn't get away from her while she was on the front line.
So she was an outstanding athlete. Without her, we probably wouldn't have been on the map like we were. And then, of course, North Carolina State was recruiting her strong. She went to Coach Al's basketball camps when she was growing up, and so she really wanted to go to state, but 30 minutes before she agreed to go to state, Carolina had called almost begging to talk to her about coming to Carolina, but she chose state, and that was a good choice.
She was one of our first people to sign with a Division I school, and that was big for Swansboro. It showed the people at the school that anyone could do it.
She started freshman year. I saw her play against UCLA in Greensboro. She scored 13 points and pulled down 11 rebounds freshman year. And they went to the Final Four. That's really something I don't know of anybody else in our county that's ever been to the Final Four.
Her accomplishments really showed others behind her that dreams do come true, because she pursued those dreams. She worked hard at them, and she pursued playing college ball at NC State and under Kay Yao. What an opportunity is that? And then to play, some professional ball in several countries. What a great experience she's had. And now her life is taken full circle, and she's coaching and she's impacting young athletes herself.
Today she's coaching the basketball at Holly Springs near Raleigh. She had an undefeated conference team this year, won the conference tournament, and was elected Coach of the Year. So we're real proud of her.
I can remember one time she was at a alumni game, and Peace always showed up for alumni games. She never showed up on time, but she always showed up. And she was out there playing her heart out. And she went up for a hit, and all of a sudden her shorts dropped to the floor. We died laughing. The girls were rolling on the court, the crowd was in stitches, and Peace was out there just laughing just as hard as she could, but she picked up her shorts, went on back right straight to playing.
Peace, I can't think of anyone else at Swansboro High School more deserving than this. You've earned everything that this honor displays for you. I'm really happy for you.
Well, Peace is awfully excited to know that you've had such a good career already, being named Coach of the Year and doing as well as you have. So again, congratulations for all the things that you've done.
Not only are you in the history of Swansboro, but now you're in the history of Onslow County as a member of this Hall of Fame. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you, girl. I love you, girl.
We are so excited, one, that Peace was on time tonight, and two, she has her belt cinched tightly this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, class of 2018 Coastal Bank and Trust Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Hall of Fame inductee, Miss Peace Shepard Easton. Just so you don't accidentally take it from me.
I promise I won't. Thank you. I'm gonna move the mic up. Whew. Well, I was on time tonight, so that was a first. Mom, you proud of me? Okay. She's on me about that. I mean, till I'm 43 years old, and I still just can't manage my time, but the Lord is still working with me. First of all, I would like to thank Onslow County and all those involved in the selection of this honor. I am humbled and very appreciative of this acknowledgement of my endeavors. While preparing myself for this night, I began to reflect again on all the memories as a kid and teenager growing up in this area. My teenage time period was when the superstorm came through in our area and destructed our Swansboro High School gymnasium, and the new school was built afterwards as a result. Some of you may remember me as a very, 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 very skinny, tall girl, roaming Jacksonville Mall, playing sports in various gyms, or know me as that Shepard girl in the Thailand or daily newspaper, in various churches with my mom, the neighborhood kid, or family. I must admit and say that I'm very proud that I have managed to gain just a tad bit more weight, and I acknowledge that I do not have the same metabolism that I used to have. When I was young, I was considered spoiled by some. I really didn't look at it as being spoiled. Considering the circumstances, I consider it being blessed. When I was in the 8th grade, my father suffered a major stroke, which left him unable to speak and paralyzed on the right side. But it never stopped him. To this day, my father is the life and comedian of our family, and he has a strong spirit. For a person who can't talk, I tell him often, "Dad, I'm going back to Raleigh because you're just talking entirely too much." My dad has came a long way. He wasn't the best patient, but he had a reason to be. His life had drastically changed at a young age. As a result of his condition, he couldn't attend my games in high school like he wanted to, but his health and spirit improved. And he never missed college games that my mom and my family members would attend. By being an only child who assisted her wonderful mother, whose health wasn't perfect at times, she wore many hats. She was and still is a dependable, special, and patient wife who would take care of her husband, and a mother who supported her daughter in everything in life. She is the heart and matriarch of our family. She was and still is my motivation. I was blessed to have been taught at an early age how to have faith in God. When I was a toddler, I would sit at the piano with my mother while she played at various churches. As I grew older, my mom had me singing in the choir, and later in my teenage years, my mother and grandma had me playing the piano for our church when I was in high school. So behind all of the basketball shoes, volleyball shoes, and track shoes, I still wore church shoes and I played for God. My athletic part of life all began with recreational softball, basketball, and a cheerleader for the football team at White Oak High School, Morton Elementary, and Tabernacle Elementary. I would play these sports with my cousin Lillian Purvis, and we were illegally riding on the back of a truck and coached by her father, Mac Purvis, and Clyde Finley at the time. I also had a love for cheering, and I cheered for my cousin's recreational football team in the area. And yes, I said cheerleading. I had high hopes of being a cheerleader. I attempted to try out for cheerleading in middle school, but somehow Coach Lyles shut down those dreams and made sure that I would only play volleyball and basketball while under his care. I understand why now, Coach Lyles. Well, I didn't try out for cheerleading in high school. I decided I would stick with basketball, volleyball, and track. I started out being coached by the one and only coach, Ronnie Ross, also known as Boss, who was still a huge supporter and factor in my life. After being coached mentally and physically by Boss for a couple of years, I was coached by Coach Miller, Mr. Wells, Judge Maddox, Geely, and Coach Kellum. They came into our program and filled the shoes of Coach Ross and continued his tradition after his retirement. We had a great record during my high school career. We won conference, defeated all of our rivals, but unfortunately we never had any championship appearances. It seems like every year was a promising year for us. And we were expected to be in the finals each year, but we could never pull it off. We would always have great games in the playoffs, but somehow our opponents would throw up a desperation shot and would win the game with 0 seconds on the clock. So sometime by the end of my freshman year and beginning of my sophomore year, I really started to advance a little in volleyball and got a little better in basketball. As far as volleyball, Coach Riggs, my second mother, who has been in my life ever since I've been playing volleyball for her, made me take baby steps. I started out as a blocker for her as a freshman and ending up being her go-to hitter on offense. She didn't have too much faith in me in defense, with the exception of blocking, of course. But she was forced to leave me in on defense during the state one-day championship at Carolina that we actually won my sophomore year. I won MVP of that championship, but it still wasn't enough for Mama Riggs to leave me in the back row for defense in the years to follow. My senior year, we returned to UNC. It's okay, Coach Moore. For another championship game, but ended up losing due to a mishap with our timeouts, which gave the opposing team a winning point, and the trophy was stolen from us. When I recollect on my high school volleyball years, I find myself going back to that same moment of another time being stolen from us. The competitive side of me was drained, As a teammate, an athlete, and a competitor, I felt all of us had given 110%, and we deserved that championship, but unfortunately it didn't turn out that way. We had to attempt to walk out of Carmichael Gym with our heads held high and our hearts beating slow. But overall, this was a learning experience for me, of course, and I appreciate it and cherish every moment we had together. I also ran track for Coach Barry and Mr. Hicks. To this day, those two coaches were the coolest coaches I've ever had in my life. Every year, I would either win the conference or either all-conference track and field. Coach Barry's brilliant idea of having me and 3 other particular girls all run together won us first place of the state championship and breaking the school record in the 4x400, which still stands. My senior year, I won the state high jump and broke the school record, which I still believe stands also. I was abundantly blessed to have coaches in my recreational years, middle school years, and high school life. Because of my experiences with them, prepared me for a future life and circumstances that I was not aware of at the time. Their guidance, trust, and perseverance definitely played and plays a major role in life for me and my college experience. Because of my endeavors, goals, achievements, family, coaches, role models, struggles, and blessings that I've particularly had in my life, I would like to thank you for an experience of a lifetime. Because of all your help, I was placed in a position where I had to decide where I want to further my academic and athletic career. When I was being recruited, I received offers from various colleges such as UNC Chapel Hill, UNC Charlotte, University of South Carolina, Wake Forest, Clemson, Virginia, Florida, and Kansas, but my heart chose Coach Yao and NC State. To remind you, I had Coach Riggs still reminding me that I should consider playing volleyball. I actually was offered the opportunity to play volleyball and basketball at my Carolina visit. And Wake Forest offered me and was interested in me for track and field along with basketball. But I had already verbally committed to basketball and did not accept the offers. The entire recruiting process was difficult for me at the very end, but I must say I have no regrets, and I'm glad that I chose to further my career at NC State with the legendary Hall of Fame Coach Kay Yao. I had already built a relationship with her and her players on the team because I would always attend her camps and games when I was younger. Like you coaches here tonight, she was there for me in the beginning, and the little things like that makes a big difference in little people's lives. My sophomore year, I had to redshirt because I tore my ACL. This was a huge setback for me. I had never been injured before. And I was forced to endure rehabilitation for 9 months after this major surgery. But again, because of my background here at home, I bounced back. I was coached and raised by my parents and coaches as a conqueror. Coach Yao was also extraordinary. She was very spiritual, had an abundance of faith, and always advised me not to give up. Her main quote that I still live by this day is, "The importance of life is faith, family, and friends. Don't wallow in self-pity. You may drown. Swish your feet and get out." I'm sure some of you, especially when she passed, heard the stories of a type of person she was, and I can say they were all true. Unbeknown to us, she had already planned and eulogized her own funeral. I've never witnessed anything like this before in my life. To be actually attending a funeral and watching her via video give her own eulogy was very difficult. Even at that time, she would only remind everyone of her faith, her relationship, and her love of God. Because of her inspiration, I had the chance to play in her first ever Final Four appearance in Kansas City, my senior year. Every athlete should have this type of experience. The road to the Final Four was an amazing journey. We were treated like queens. There are so many great memories of that moment. After we won the Elite 8 championship against UConn, Coach Yao was so excited, and everyone danced on the aisle of the charter bus singing, Kansas City, here we come, and ain't no stopping us now," repeatedly. When I was young, I had a set of personal goals I wanted to reach, and this was one of them. My other goals were playing and getting a degree from state, playing professionally, playing on TV, and playing in the East-West McDonald's game, where I actually was coached by my coach Ross for that game. After graduating from college, I played professionally overseas in Italy, Brazil, Honduras, Ecuador, Finland, and Greece. It was very difficult being that far away from my family during this time period. If anyone has seen the movie Love and Basketball, that was my life. Being surrounded by strangers, coaches, and players who couldn't speak English was a challenge. My days consisted of practice games or waiting on letters in the mail and watching TV shows and not having a clue of what they were saying. I looked forward to having brief conversations with my parents and my husband on the cell phone. Daily, people would approach me and ask if I knew Michael Jordan, only because they knew I was from the U.S. Also, during practices or games, I acted like I understood what the coach's instructions were, especially if one of the players couldn't translate it for me. After dealing with these circumstances for a few years, and last being on a team that was owned by a person in the mafia in Greece, the owner advised me, "Peace, if you don't win this championship, I will kill your mother." Because of that, it was confirmed that it was time to hang up the basketball shoes and come back to America. I was ready to come back home and be with my family, so that's exactly what I did. I came home, I got married, and eventually delivered my beautiful daughter, Heaven Markayla. She's my little blessing that happened to be born on the same day Coach Yao was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2002. I actually named her after Coach Yao and her father, Marcus. Heaven Markayla will be 16-year-old this year, and yes, she's tall and plays basketball also. She actually has a shot that's a little bit better than mine. She has been playing since she was 6 years old and also has a lot to do with my newfound life of basketball. I actually have my own AAU team with John Wall that she plays on. They are a group of 10th graders, and I've been coaching some of them for the past 6 years. I arrange for these talented young ladies to play in exposure tournaments in various states in order to be noticed by college coaches and hopefully receive scholarships like myself. No pressure, Coach Moore. I love these girls, and they are also like my family and play a big part of my life. I want to be an example for them in all aspects of life, on and off the court. This is easy for me because I've actually walked in their shoes and I know what it takes. I've always reminded them that there is life after basketball. The ball does not bounce forever, and to always make good choices on and off the court. To me, being an athlete was a tool to help me meet people, travel, explore life, and experience things I would not have been able to experience. I'm trying to instill in them that being an athlete is not only fun or hard work, but it prepares you for life. Because of my experiences and other influences of you coaches in my life, I was offered the opportunity to be a head coach at Holly Springs High School. Because of each of your own personal styles and ways of coaching, you all have molded me into the person I am now. This is my 4th year as the varsity head coach at the high school. We have had some great seasons and some tough losses. For the second time, I was our 2018 Conference Coach of the Year this year. Also, our team won the conference tournament. We were the conference champions. We were undefeated in our conference. We have 4 players on the all-conference team, and one of my seniors was the player of the year. We were looking forward to attending the state championship, but we were not fortunate enough to make it. The final playoff game this year was my worst loss in all my years of coaching. It was very emotional due to losing the game that we should not have lost, and I was losing my babies, my first seniors that came into the program with me 4 years ago. Coach Ross attended our conference tournament this year, as he does each season. He witnessed the talent that we had and felt how confident I was about going far in the playoffs. I guess he understood how I felt because it took him 2 weeks to call me after that loss. He admitted that he wanted to call me earlier, but then he had also admitted he knew how I felt. He could relate, and he knew that I was feeling down and wanted to give me some time. Boy, were you right, boss. Before closing, I would like to thank all of you here. If you are here tonight on my behalf, will you please stand? Put you on the spot. It is evident that each one of you here have impacted my life in some shape or form, and it has not gone unnoticed. I thank each one of you for your taking the time out of your busy lives to show me love tonight. To any of my secret prayer warriors, to those that could not travel here tonight, to my family, to my childhood friends like Alicia, and neighbors like Georgia May and Hike, to my worrisome buddy, Mac Purvis, and his family, my church family like Mr. Cruz, my crazy Uncle Blue, and all of my Swansboro classmates like Natalie, staff, and coaches like Coach Berry, Lyles, Riggs, Kellum, and Ross, and our keynote speaker, Coach Moore, who was my post-position coach while I was at NC State. To my angels watching over me, who have transitioned to be with the Lord with my grandparents, Coach Yao, Deborah Ann, my uncles Cliff and Uncle Mancy, I say thank you. All of you have made me who I am. Sorry. This wasn't in my speech. Phew. All of you made me who I am. You gave me life experience, life examples, and prepared me for my adult life, which made this night possible. Sorry, I'm trying. Phew, okay. All right, sorry. Thanks for the village you all created to help my parents in my early childhood years. Thank you. And now as an adult, I'm excited I have the opportunity to give back. Thank you to my role models, AKA my #1 fans, who also received athletic scholarships like my cousin here, Sean Torrance, tonight. Phew. And played sports in colleges like Davidson, Maryland, University of Nebraska, Hampton, Western Carolina, A&T, Central, Clemson, and Carolina. I am grateful and blessed to have you all set the bar and pave the way. A special thank you to my husband for being my day one fan and supporting me in everything I have accomplished and attempted to accomplish. To my daughter, my mini-me, who keeps me in line. She's that little voice, that big heart, and that sweet smile that keeps me motivated when I'm tired and I need a push. Everything I do is for you. To my parents, thank you for everything. Thank you for demonstrating, I can't see. Whew. Thank you for demonstrating what true love is, what dedication is, how hard work does pay off, not to let anyone or anything take you out of character, to always smile, and to be punctual. But as far as being punctual, God isn't finished with me yet. He's still working on me. Your love, your good days, your struggles, your character, your punctuality, your blessings, your yeses and your nos, and your life examples have molded me into who I am today. And I'm blessed that God gave me you all. Mom, you and Dad have both shown me that life can throw you lemons, but you have also given me the recipe of how to make the best lemonade. I love you both. Thanks again, everyone. Love you all, and God bless.
Stay put. I'm going to give you an actual trophy. Stay right here. All right, I have with me up here for Peace and everybody tonight. They'll be receiving this plaque as they enter the Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Hall of Fame. How about one more big round of applause for Peace? Yes, ma'am. Congratulations. Wise move. We've left the Kleenex up here for the rest of the speakers. It's a good move. Couple things. One, I enjoyed how Peace mentioned she had a crazy uncle, and I saw like 10 people go like, yeah, I know, we all got one of those, right? Number two, Peace mentioned problems with timeouts at the end of a championship game. I'm sorry it didn't work out for your team, but every now and then when the other team has some timeout problems at the end of a championship game, it works out all right. One more thing before I bring up our next speaker. I was going through our Hall of Fame members who are here with us tonight, and I realized a couple folks who I wanted to mention were not on my list, and they're going to dislike the fact that I'm going to single them out and ask them to stand. But class of 2016, my good friend, the late Quincy Monk, his parents, Robert and Wilma, are with us back here in the corner. Will y'all please stand so we can recognize you? Thank you all so much for being here. There is not a better family in the world than those two back there. All right, congratulations again, and let's move on and meet our second inductee.
Mr. Mason was the athletic director and the assistant principal here for nearly 25 years, so there was an entire generation of students at White Oak High School and athletes that came through here under his leadership.
Mr. Mason came here in, I believe in 1971 when they opened the new White Oak High School.
Mr. Mason was the assistant principal and the athletic director of a newly constructed White Oak High School at that time.
It was unheard of in today's time for it to be an assistant principal and the AD.
He also handled discipline. We had some problems various times with athletes and discipline.
I remember I was up here one day for something and Mr. Mason called me in his office and said, "Coach Grantham, can you come in here? I need you to watch something for a second." Had no idea what he needed me to do. I go in his office. He's paddling a young man who I'm sure really deserved to be paddled. But I had no idea that's what I was there for. And after he gave the young man 3 really good licks, I'm talking about, he was swinging for the fence now, and he let the young man go. He just said, "Coach Grantham, I appreciate you doing that. I just needed a witness."
He oversaw an athletic program that won a couple state championships in baseball, won several state championships in soccer, boys and girls soccer, had an Eastern regional football team, an Eastern regional basketball team.
He was a phenomenal man. We all love Mr. Mason and working for him. Highly respected man, fair, always listened to the kids.
He wasn't just talking about a role model. He came dressed nicely every day. He worked with students every day. He worked with teachers every day. But he lived that example.
He drove from Clinton every day from 1971 to the mid-90s.
I know there were some long nights. He had to have spent some nights in this gym rather than drive all the way home.
You and I chaperoned a group of honor students from White Oak High School to a basketball game in Chapel Hill, UNC versus NC State. When we arrived, we took all the students on a bus down to Franklin Street. And as we went in one of the stores, they were painting little blue Tar Heels, and the students were asking you to get a little Tar Heel painted on your cheek. You being a State fan, you didn't want any part of that. But finally you had to give the children what they wanted, so you got that little Tar Heel painted on your cheek. And all day as we went on to the ball game, I kept watching you wipe and wipe and wipe, and you couldn't get that little Tar Heel off.
And even after Mr. Mason left and went to work at Clinton High School, I would get congratulatory faxes from him from Clinton anytime one of our teams won a championship. He was always a Viking, never stopped being a Viking. I'm sure to this day he's a Viking.
It was like a family with administration, and he was just part of that family, and you could always go there. You felt welcome, felt safe.
I know I speak for all the coaches that worked under Mr. Mason when he was here, that the impact that he had on all of us, it was just tremendous. And I just want to congratulate you, Mr. Mason, on being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
You set a fine example for White Oak High School, Onslow County, and in particular to me as a mentor and a leader in our community.
And I want to thank you for all your dedication and hard work, because you were greatly, greatly appreciated at White Oak High School.
And I just hope that as this is a great reward for him for what he's done, I hope that his life will be blessed to the degree that he's blessed other lives.
I think you got a good feel during that video. Not one person said ER or Edward. Every single one said Mr. Mason. And as we mentioned at the beginning, we learned some tragic news this morning with the passing of Mr. Mason. We're so honored that to accept on his behalf this evening as he joins the 2018 Coastal Bank and Trust Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Hall of Fame is his son, David. I get to hold a Hall of Fame trophy for like 5 minutes during the speech. I'm pretty excited.
Okay, let me just say there were some comments in the presentation about one of the coaches walking by the office and being asked to come into the office to witness something, a paddling. Let me just say that young man, whoever it was, got the best of that treatment. This is a bittersweet day for the Mason family, of course. Driving down early this morning from Virginia, Woodbridge, Virginia, I retired to the Northern Virginia area, and getting the call that Dad was in the hospital. But like every other time up until that point, I just thought things were going to be okay. Dad was going to be just fine, and whatever was ailing him, he was going to successfully overcome it. As a matter of fact, just a few nights ago, Dad was in ICU, but he was trying to convince Mom to somehow sneak him out of the hospital so he could be here tonight. He was a great ambassador of education, 41 years. In the education system. Dad was a great ambassador of sports as well along that journey. getting his start at Shawtown High School up near Lillington, his travels along the way, one of the stops being here at White Oak High School, and then he ended up his vice principalship and being an athletic director at Clinton High School. And I could see every single night when Dad got home how the White Oak sports team, whatever the sports was, how they fared during the competition of that night. Although Dad was a great ambassador of sports, there was a moment that I recall very vividly where the sport of football and the injury on the field was going to drive Dad into retirement. And that's when that young man from White Oak High School, Reginald Munford, lost his life playing the sport of football. And that bothered Dad up until this day. But he kept at it. The White Oak High School baseball team, 52 straight wins. Still a high school baseball team record. 2 championships. He used to bring me up here to watch some of the baseball players, Louis Meadows and Chad Fonville and other guys play baseball, and I always thought that those guys could really play. He would bring me to the football games to watch Chucky Kennedy run up and down the field on whoever it was they were playing, and watch White Oak High School excel in the sports arena. From what I was told, he also brought the sport of soccer to White Oak High School. And I didn't know Dad was a soccer fan. And one time I asked him, Dad, you know soccer? He's like, yeah, I'm the athletic director, so I got to know it. So he also brought the sport of soccer to Clinton High School, which is where I went to high school. And that soccer program continues to do very well to this day. Several programs, several recognitions along the way. Being voted as one of North Carolina's top 100 administrators of all time. And this happened just a few short years ago. Being inducted into the Shaw University Sports Hall of Fame. This was back in 2013. Dad lived his life, well, let me back up. When I joined the Air Force, we always pledged allegiance to service, integrity, excellence. But those creeds were nothing new for me to adapt to, because that's the way he lived his life every single day. Service, being an education ambassador. Excellence, whatever it was that Dad chose to do, it had to be done with a high degree of excellence, or you got to do it over, or you didn't do it at all. And integrity. Integrity, I learned at such an early age that your word is all you have as a human. You either tell the truth or you don't. And if you don't tell the truth, or if you do things not in the right way, then we can't work together, basically. So he brought those creeds, he lived those creeds in the everyday life that he lived. I know Peace just mentioned that she was on time. Well, let me say I was not on time, and seems like Dad's looking at me right now. It's those highways through the back country roads with my driver right here. But I'm glad to be here to accept this award. Distinguished visitors, distinguished guests, fellow Hall of Fame inductees, everyone in this room, it is a great honor that I accept this recognition on behalf of my dad, Edward R. Mason.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I got it.
Thanks, sir.
I'm going to tell y'all something. That's impressive, what David just did. Get up here on a day like today and speak as eloquent as you did. Thank you. And please know, everybody here, our condolences are with you and the rest of your family and friends. All right, let's meet our third inductee.
When you bring up Jennifer's name, everybody just gets a smile on their face. That's the kind of athlete she was and what she brought and what she brought to the court or to the field. She was just an awesome athlete, very dedicated. I know she played basketball. She scored 1,000 points during her junior year. She was a phenomenal soccer player. I know she did ODP all the time. And she actually, she was a kicker for the JV football team.
She played on boys' team most of her life. Then she went to Raleigh to play with the girls' team. But she came back. Her freshman year is the first year they had girls' soccer at White Oak. I think she probably helped put Easton 95, on the map because people would know her, and then starting to recognize that there are athletes here in the East.
I met Jen Plante at a national licensing course for soccer. Now, Jen, as we all know, All-American soccer player, and I was just a coach there trying to get my certificate to coach. And I decided, hey, I'll jump in the goal during a scrimmage. I was playing keeper, and Jen fired a shot at me, about took my head off. I was like, wow! Ugh. So that's how we met. I about took her head off after that.
Being a young coach and a young teacher, she was a bright light coming in. I had been told she's coming, and then when she got there, her first year we didn't really hit it off, but after that, our second, third, and senior year, we got really close. I mentored her a lot. I just loved coaching her and having her in the classroom.
She's playing on the state team under Woody Gibson was her coach, and the girls were from all across the state, and they were playing in Raleigh. In Raleigh, up there near the fields, there's a big white plantation-looking hotel that has a pond. Well, they were staying there. Of course, her and one of the girls from Greensboro, Megan Yidey, they went out and they caught a fish, and it was a good-sized fish. And so the two little girls went back and told the people that the coach needed the key to his room. So they got his key, and they proceeded and filled the sink up with water and put the fish in it and left until they got her.
She went on to play at Ohio State, I know, for soccer and basketball, which is a huge accomplishment. I know she's had 2 businesses, so she has brought that to the community. So as a female athlete and a businesswoman now, she has brought a lot. And I know she's passed it on to the athletes she's coached since then with soccer.
She's just a solid citizen. Always could count on her. She was a confidant. She knew the game. She understood where we were heading. And I am so indebted to her for some of the best memories that I've had while doing women's professional soccer.
She would go to schools and mentor kids, trying to get them involved in, not only in sports, but just get involved in nutrition, in just being active, trying to be good citizens.
We went to an NSCAA, the big soccer conference in the sky that we all know about, and they were introducing a women's professional soccer league. And she looked at me and said, you should buy a team. The Atlanta Beat is what we ended up buying. Nice work, Jen. Well, Jen came to work for me at the Atlanta Bee as our director of marketing, and I tell you, over the top. You know, one of the most important things we needed were players, and we needed to get our name out there. And Jen was in charge of getting our name out there, and oh, did she ever.
Jennifer, I'm just very proud of you, and I'm really excited that you've been inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Thank you. You are an awesome athlete, an awesome person, an awesome student, and I know you've gone to pass it on to who you have coached and mentored since then, so thank you for being such a wonderful person.
This honor for you, Jen, I'm so proud. I'm so proud. I'm so honored that you would have me speak. Congratulations. It's well-deserved. We love you.
Jennifer, I want to thank you for helping me decorate all those Christmases. And remember when we played bingo? You'll remember. She'll know what I'm talking about.
Member of the class of 2018 in the Coastal Bank and Trust Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Hall of Fame, Jennifer Plante.
Not that tall. By far not PC either. Good evening. It is so good to be home. I've always loved Jacksonville, the people here. I've been proud of where I came from, and being a part of this community and the White Oak community is very special to me. Thank you, my little one table. Thank you, appreciate that. I'd like to thank the sponsors, the Sports Commission, Scott Smith, the guests, and the attendees. I'd also like to congratulate all the other inductees. Mr. Mason, I wish that he was here, and to his son. He was a staple at all of our games. He was at the gate when I would go into soccer. He was at the gate when we left soccer. Thankfully, I never went to his office very often, but he always caught me running in the hallway. I was always, and I thought I was punctual, but he always caught me, but my condolences to you. While this award is about my accomplishments as an athlete, I would not be here today without the support and guidance of some very special people, and I'd like to take a moment to thank them. My mom. Pam raised my brother Ricky and myself as a single parent, working full-time, and ensured that we were always at practice, on time, never late. We never missed anything. And whether we were home or away, she was in the stands. And everyone knew her white hair. Everyone knew who my mom was. And obviously, as a parent of a newborn right now, I have no idea how you did it because I'm tired all the time. But from a young age, my mom instilled in me that sports were more about wins and losses. Don't misunderstand, because we always had to win. But as an accomplished softball player that she was, she knew it was important for me to always work hard, learn how to play with my hands and my feet on both sides. I had to be equally good, and that my work ethic is what would take me to the next level. And I remember a story, we had a wall at the first house we lived in when I was a kid, and I would bang just balls after balls and 100 with my right, 100 with my left, because Mom told me I had to be good, like I had to be equal on both sides. And we were moving into our other house, and with my grandparents, with my grandmother, and it was a really small wall and, you know, really a window that I broke quite often. But we were in the middle of moving. Our house got broken into. We had one more day left, and my soccer ball was stolen. And to me, it was obviously it's the most important thing in my life. It was my soccer ball. And my mom packed up all of her stuff, and she realized that she had these handmade curtains that she had made that were stolen. And I remember how upset she was, and I remember seeing my mom cry for the first time. She grabbed our stuff, and we left. And I woke up the next day, and there's a new soccer ball in my bedroom. And for me, that showed my mom's selflessness, her strength, her commitment to put myself and my brother first. She was always teaching us life lessons, And I know Debbie Loster brought up the football story because I thought I could kick for the football team. And the very first game, I kicked the opening kickoff, and I'm standing there admiring my kickoff. And all of a sudden, this guy from D.H. Craven, in fact, I remember that, runs after me to tackle me. And I'm running in circles in the field, screaming, because I couldn't understand why someone's running after me. Right, thank you. And so, that play ended, thank God, and I ran off the field, and, the football coach, not sure who it was, told me he was told to hit me. So my mom, after the game, after we had some giggles about me running around the field, she reminded me not to run from anything, and that to stand in and stand strong. And I think one of the next games, I kicked the opening kickoff, and the guy was running down the field, and I ran over, and I jumped on his back, and, I didn't tackle him, but he fell down eventually. But I credit my mom for telling me not to run and to stay in it, and that was just one of those other things my mom always taught me, is that you don't run and that you stay and you fight. Sorry. Well, I could sit here and I could tell a lot of stories about my mom, who again is the most important thing to me. Her support and what she instilled in me to develop my character is by far the most important thing that I got from you. So thank you. I'd also like to take a minute to thank a few of the people in the room who were very influential. Colin Balance was mentioned. I think he started the middle school soccer team at Hunters Creek, and he was a coach at White Oak High School, and he was always there, obviously watching him, letting us play the game, and obviously just being girls on the field, and I'm not sure he knew what girls were playing soccer for, but he tried his best, so I appreciate him and all he did. Izzy Hernandez is here. He's my coach from the Spartans. He was my travel coach in Raleigh. When I was probably 14 or 15, my mom drove me 3 hours each day, 3 days a week to play for Coach Hernandez on the Spartans, so obviously another commitment, but playing with Izzy, I can't even explain how much he taught to me as an athlete. We ran more Cooper tests, so like 2 miles in 12 minutes to get ready for college. We ran more laps, we hit more posts. Everything he taught was about the game and the purity of the game and the work ethic, and to make sure that we were the best players we could always be. And I remember, I think in like 94, I missed a PK for us to win regionals or state cup. Hit a ball at the post and it went behind the goalkeeper, and we lost. And I sat there, and the team went away, and I sat on the field and cried, and they were doing awards, and I sat on the field and cried. And he came up, and my mom came up, and obviously I learned about defeat, and I learned about how you get up, that you have grace in defeat, and that you have got to figure out what you're going to learn from this and how to be better. The next year we went to nationals, and it went to PKs, and I made the PK, and we won the national championship. And I think without that moment, I'm not sure where I would be with the mentality to know what it was like to fail and to get up and achieve success. So Izzy, thank you so much for all you gave. Debbie Lossiter, tough, love, mean. She was right on it. We did not like each other. I was this 8th grade little punk kid that just was an athlete. And I was playing soccer and basketball, and I felt bad for her. I worked hard and I did all the things right and I listened, but I was a handful. And so, she was there. She's probably the reason I went to class. She's the reason why I played basketball with both hands. She stayed with me afterwards. I sat in her classroom. She made me study. She made me work. I've never told you how much you mean to me and as a friend, and that even though nothing changed, like you are still that person to me. And whether we speak often or not enough, all the lessons I learned from you as a coach are why I do what I do now. I'd like to thank my childhood best friend, Angela, and her mom who are here. Angela didn't play sports. Her legacy of sport is me hitting her in the face with a baseball when I was pitching. But her mom kept me grounded. She made food when my mom was at work. She made sure that I was an athlete, but I was a friend first. So the person I am, a lot is because of you and all the things that we went through and things we didn't get caught in. And thank God we didn't caught at, but I appreciate everything that you did in that. And I enjoyed the fact that your kids are playing soccer and they're playing on the field that I played at when I was a kid. So I love hearing the stories and obviously reading on Facebook of what your kids are doing. So I'm super proud of you. When I stopped competing and I went into coaching, I took the best of everything I learned from all my coaches to ensure that I paid it forward to do what I do now. I've had the privilege of being coaching at the youth level, the college level, and the pro level. And my favorite place to be is by far the youth level. The opportunity to give back, to teach and mold young athletes into not only being good players, but more importantly, good people and good citizens is the best part of the game for me. I'm grateful every day for what I was given as a child, and I would not be the athlete, the person I am, without the accomplishments of all of you as my friends, family, and coaches have given to me. So again, I'd like to thank the Onslow Sports Commission, my hometown, Jacksonville. Mr. Wiggins is over there, who you were a staple at all of our games. You protected me during the Swansboro game when the parents were really mean to me. I mean, there's so many things you remember when you get to come home. But essentially, thank you so much. Coastal Bank, thank you for this and for continuing to 2025. But again, thank you. Have a good evening.
Congratulations, Jennifer. And let's get the opportunity now to meet our final inductee.
Well, we were both members of the Marine Corps boxing team from 1974 through 1976. When I first made the team in 1974, I met Leon. He was sitting on the stool, just came from the Pan Am Games, and he won a medal in the Pan Am Games, one of his first years out. He was a hard puncher, hard worker. He was very dedicated to boxing.
Leon had a great impact on the sport of boxing in the amateurs while he was here at Camp Lejeune in this community, because he thrilled a lot of audiences. He fought several fights here at Camp Lejeune, here at the field house, and he thrilled a lot of audiences with his expertise of boxing, his technique and fundamentals.
No question, he was the best, or one of the best fighters that I had ever seen. But his demeanor of who he was never a bully. He was a person that you could easily approach. And if Leon could help you, he would help you.
He was like the captain of the team, and everybody, followed his lead. He trained real hard. I've never been with somebody that trained as hard as Leon.
Leon's always been a down-to-earth, charismatic individual, always willing to give his last dime to somebody, and always just a friendly person.
At that time, he was like typical Marine. He go out and have a party. After he party, he trained hard.
We getting out to go running at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning. And this guy was coming in from clubbing at 4:30 in the morning.
When we fought fights, a lot of people came to see Leon. They wanted to see this guy that was pretty good. I mean, that was real good, not pretty good, but Leon was real good. He was a real good fighter. And people wanted to, be around him because they felt that he would make it in boxing. And nobody knew that he would do the things he did in boxing.
He won from here, Camp Lejeune, all the way through the Nationals to the Olympic box office, and went to the Olympics and won a gold medal in the Montreal Games in 1976.
The biggest fight I recall was when he won the Olympics. He fought Sexo Sarias from Cuba, and that was a battle.
The way he represented the Corps is something that I always try to emulate.
even till this day. And not only did he go out there and win a gold medal for the Marine Corps, but he also later on went out there to win a world title as a professional boxer against one of the greatest athletes of all time.
Leon was a fighter, had only 7 fights, and he won the heavyweight championship of the world against Muhammad Ali.
Beat Muhammad Ali in only his 8th professional fight, shocking the world.
Fighting the greatest fighter of all times and able to beat him.
When you have a fighter with a high caliber like Leon, such a good fighter, you want to be like him. You want to train like he trained. You want to make some accomplishments in boxing.
It's him not only being a good athlete, but also, a black athlete meant a lot for, for not only just my community, but, children and people all around the country.
He was able to get the community involved in the sport of boxing by getting them to come and get a great big audience and show them that out here in the community that sports could be a great ambassador to the community.
So Leon, welcome to the Hall of Fame.
I'll say congratulations, Leon Spinks is well overdue.
I just want to say, congrats, Leon. God bless you and your family, and I wish you nothing but love and success. Semper Fi, salute.
And thank you for all the thrills that you gave audiences throughout the world, and thank you for what you've done in this community to make our sport of boxing a great opportunity for others to see and to enjoy, and also thank you for just being who you are.
Now, Leon, I'm going to tell you something. Gold medal, World Heavyweight Championship, those things are nice. Going out till 4:30 and running at 5:30, that, sir, is an accomplishment. Ladies and gentlemen, joined by his lovely wife, Mrs. Brenda Spinks, his good friend Michael Klein, help me welcome to the class of 2018 of the Coastal Bank and Trust Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Hall of Fame, Mr. Leon Spinks.
Hi there. Leon isn't a very big speaker, but tonight will probably prove me wrong since I said that. So I just want to say a couple words to say what a great honor this is for him to receive this award from the Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Hall of Fame. And we love coming to Jacksonville, and the All Marine Corps Boxing Hall of Fame and all his team members really mean a lot to us. We love them, and it's so great to have their support and know that all his brothers and sisters from the Marine Corps always are here to support us. And we love you all. And Leon, I'm very proud of you to receive this award.
Good evening. In 2006, I stood before this crowd when one of our other boxers and famous coach, Roosevelt Sanders, was inducted into the Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Hall of Fame. He was also one of our coaches. He was one of Leon's coaches as well, also an Olympic coach. And but first, if I can ask all athletes to stand, please. All athletes. I know we got an athlete in here, right? Athletes. Can I ask all coaches to stand? All coaches to stand.
It takes an athlete and a coach to get something accomplished, to be at that spectrum to the tip of the spear to accomplish the things that this man has accomplished. But it starts with the athlete, and it also goes with the coach. Thank you, coaches and athletes. But there's a lot of things that people don't understand about that relationship. This young man came from the streets of hard knocks in St. Louis. We talked about high school, we talked about college, but we didn't talk about the at-risk people in the street. Sometimes it's people like us from the hard knocks that come up and we get the opportunity to go ahead and make the world notice. This is what this young man, Leon Spinks, did. A lot of people don't know the history about the Marine Corps and Muhammad Ali. So I'm going to share just a little story with you. In 1960, there was a Marine that went on in the annals of history, defeated Cassius Clay. A lot of you didn't know that, did you? His name was Percy Price. He went on to Vietnam, retired as staff sergeant, but the key fact is that him and Cassius Clay went to the Olympics in the 1960 Roman Games. They moved Percy to a heavyweight and kept Cassius Clay as a light heavyweight, and of course Cassius got the gold. Good story, huh? Right after that, we had a young man that came from the Marine Corps. They went out and became a professional, and he fought Muhammad Ali and broke his jaw. His name was Ken Norton. This evening, we also have the widow of Ken Norton in here. Rose, could you stand up, please? Then there was a third Marine that went on to shock the world in only his 8th professional fight. And if you ever get an opportunity, please go to YouTube video and watch it. This man had the eye of the tiger, and he didn't let up on Muhammad Ali. And when that announcement came, it was a split decision, and he took the world championship and became the champion. He was offered to fight the #1 contender, who just happened to be another Marine, Ken Norton, and he refused. Because Marines, we like our challenges, and we move on. There was one other Marine that fought Ali. This young man in the 7th round stepped on his foot, did an old school move, knocked Ali down, went to his corner and said, "Hey, coach, start up the car, we're going to be millionaires." Well, his coach looked at him and said, "I don't think so. He's getting up and he looks like he's pissed." Well, that young man was named Chuck Webner. The movie Rocky was actually about him, the Bayonne Bleeder. If you don't believe me, look it up. It's in the annals of history. But one of the most shocking things was the gentleman standing to my left, that he continued on, and he thrilled audiences, and he fought many times afterwards. He held 2 belts, the WBA and the WBC world titles. You know, that's an accomplishment in itself. But one of the accomplishments he had along the way to get there was, coming from the street of hard knocks, was he got that gold medal in Montreal. And that was a big achievement. What's special, significant about that is him and his brother were both gold medal winners, and they're the only 2 brothers to win gold medals in the Olympics. That's a feat in itself. So, I want to tell you that it hasn't always been rosy for Leon. When you're a professional athlete and you have great success, and coach, you know what I'm about to say, is sometimes when you have success, people come after you because they think you have a lot of money. They think you have a lot of things going on in your life. So he had to go through a lot of hard knocks even after he won a world title. But he overcame all those things, and it's because of the love of his life that's standing next to him, Brenda Spinks, that he's here today. In 2014, he was hospitalized, and we almost lost Leon. but it's because of the love that she had for Leon that he's standing here today. Before I end, I'd ask all Marine boxers to please stand up. The reason why I asked them to stand up is because this is his support system. Friday night, tomorrow night, we got the Friday night fights, as Scott Smith said earlier. Please come out there. Leon will be there. Ray Mercer will be there. We also have Dennis Hurricane Lane here, who's also a world champion in his own right, kickboxing. But all those Marines that stood up there were all Marine boxers. They're champions in themselves, and they thrilled a lot of audiences themselves at the field house and went on and did world things and SISMs and other things. Also, the Lieutenant General is here tonight, Lieutenant General Ronald Bailey. Sir, could you please stand up, sir? The general himself is actually a South Carolina State Golden Glove champion at 156 pounds. A general officer, he did that as a company commander at Parris Island. But why do we do all this? Is because this man right here got us to be in love with boxing because he had that fortitude, that gumption to go forth, and he never gave up. But he also did two other things. He has this affinity for rock and roll, and he liked to party. Right, George? I will tell you, when I was at the MGM Grand with Leon about 2 years ago, we were sitting outside. Brenda went to go get the van, and this man walked up to us, and he goes, "Hey, dudes, y'all know where I can cop a joint?" And Leon goes, "Nah, man, I don't." You know, young man walked away. He looked at me, he goes, "Back in the day, I did." But his other affinity is his love for God. This man loves God more than anybody that I've ever seen. I've been to church with him. His pastor is Randall Cunningham. That's his pastor. This man has an affinity and praises God more than anybody I've ever seen. And you wouldn't even believe that because you got to see it in action. He gets to himself and he praises God, and he knows that everything that he's had in his life came from God. And he got the blessing of a woman of God from prayer. So, on behalf of Leon, his family, all his friends, relatives, all the All-Marines that came forth along with him, to all you coaches, athletes that make all of us what we are, we want to say thank you. We want to say thank you for inducting him to the Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Hall of Fame, and we hope to see many of you more. And please, as George and Charles said, he's down to earth. And if you want to take a picture with him, he'll take a picture with you. He'll sign an autograph with you. He just loves people. And we're going to let Leon come up here, and I'm pretty sure he's going to say thank you. Leon, thank you.
And what the man said, thank you.
You got good? Just wave to everybody.
Hey, love you all. And hello.
All right, ready?
Thank you.
Thank you so kindly.
Thank you, Brenda and Mr. Klein, Mr. Spinks, and all of our inductees. Congratulations on your honor this evening. We do have one final piece of our program tonight. I'm excited to introduce to you head coach Wes Moore. Coach Moore, extraordinarily accomplished at every level of college basketball. He's the first coach in history to advance 3 different teams to the NCAA tournament at the Division I, II, and III levels. Coach Moore spent 15 years as the head coach of the Chattanooga Mocs, where he and Scott Smith got to know each other. Coach Moore led the Lady Mocs to 12 Southern Conference regular season titles, 9 Southern Conference tournament championships, and 9 NCAA tournament berths. He is the winningest coach in Chattanooga and Southern Conference history. His conference record there, 222 wins, 42 losses. Before that, Coach Moore was an assistant coach at NC State from 93 to 95. 5 years ago, he returned to Raleigh to lead the women's program for State. Since taking over, Coach Moore has led them to a postseason invitation every single year, including another deep run this past season in the NCAA tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Coach Wes Moore.
Well, I tell you what, that's a hard act to follow. They had asked me to do a video. You see it got cut because of all the great ones that were put in there. Mine got left out. And just what an honor to be up here with these folks. And, again, hearing them speak tonight. Jennifer, my mom, raised me and my 2 sisters by herself and reflected on that. Peace, obviously, I was with Coach Yao a couple of years and was at the funeral. Of course, Leon Spinks, we all remember his greatness. They told me they were going to have a former heavyweight champion here, and I was just thankful it wasn't Mike Tyson. But so that's good. We had Leon here. And then I just regret so much that I didn't get to meet Mr. Mason. Everyone I talked to tonight before the dinner, and then just to hear the emotion in the prayer, he was very well thought of and loved, and I would have loved to have met him. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. As was mentioned, Scott and I were in Chattanooga together for several years. Scott invited me to come out here, I guess, way back in early fall, and then I guess a few months later on, we found out that Peace was going to be involved in the induction, and so that was icing on the cake for me. I was really excited about being here. As was mentioned, I am the coach at NC State for women's basketball. I'm very honored to do that. I'm indebted to the Yaos, Kay Yao, obviously, who gave me an opportunity back in the mid-'90s, as I mentioned. And then almost 20 years later, her sister, Debbie Yao, who's our AD, hired me for the head coaching position. I'm thankful for that. Like I said, we were in Chattanooga. I got a call one afternoon from a search firm in Atlanta, asked if I would be interested in the NC State job. I called my wife at home after I hung up. She's from Eastern North Carolina. Her whole family's Wolfpack fans, and called to let her know. I said, listen, they probably called 100 people. Who knows? So don't get real excited about this. Well, she's in real estate. So that evening, I pull up in the driveway, and my lights hit the yard, and there's a for sale sign in our yard. So I'm very indebted to Debbie Yao for hiring me, because I would probably be homeless right now. So, of course, I thought she was impressed with me, and we had our interview for a couple of days. At the end of it, I asked her, I'm not very patient. I said, well, what are you guys thinking? What kind of time frame? She said, well, probably in the next week or so we'll make a decision. And I said, wow, I blew y'all away, huh? And but I ended up getting the job. I felt okay about it. But then we hired this guy, Kevin Keats, who's our head coach now, and for the men's team, and he's doing a great job. And Debbie, last year we're out traveling around speaking, and she gets up and tells the story about when she hired Kevin. She said, I knew within 15 minutes he was the guy. Okay? Took her 7 days for me, okay? So, put me in my place. But we're here tonight to obviously celebrate and recognize 4 great individuals. And I think as a coach, we're looking for a lot of the qualities that you've seen mentioned tonight. And everyone thinks that, greatness is neat, it's cool, which it is, but the reality is it's also a lot of dirty, hard work. Okay? There was a young man in Sweden who started selling matches. Yeah, matches, individually, door to door. Okay? And every so often, he would have to get on his bike, ride 3 hours to Stockholm, and get a new box of matches to sell door to door individually. Okay? When he turned 17, he decided he was going to name his company and incorporate it. And of course, it expanded a little bit, but y'all may have heard of the company, IKEA. Okay? It's now worth $150 billion. All right? But it started out selling matches door to door. Okay? So everyone wants to be great. Everybody wants to start the next IKEA, but no one really wants to go out and sell matches individually. These folks that we're recognizing and honoring tonight, they knew what greatness was about and what it took to get there. And as a college coach, like I said, we look for these same qualities in individuals that we're recruiting. If you're in the Hall of Fame, obviously you have a lot of talent, but you also have a great work ethic. And I say as a coach, you got to have a lot of talent because you don't win the Kentucky Derby with a mule, okay? But again, these folks not only had that talent, they put a lot of work into getting there. I tell our team at the start of each season, everyone in the country wants to win, but not everyone is willing to do what it takes to get there, not willing to do what it takes to be great. And these folks put in countless hours, but they also had a passion. They loved their game, their sport. They loved what they did. And that's the same thing we look for as coaches, the same things we're recognizing these people for. I think a lot of it comes out in their attitude. It's interesting to talk to people when they're doing their job. And I've heard the story about going up to some bricklayers and talking to them. And you ask one what he's doing. Oh, man, I'm stacking bricks. You ask another one. Well, I'm making $20 an hour. And then you ask a third one and they say, I'm building a beautiful cathedral. That's what I'm doing. And so you see that passion in their attitude and the way they go about doing their work. And, I was in sales for a few years and just been married. I had a company car, country club membership. But I look forward to two things: lunch so I could read the sports page, and 5 o'clock so I could go play sports, whatever I was playing that time of year. And I finally decided to go back to school, and my in-laws about died because we were leaving jobs behind and taking off. And my first coaching job, they wanted me, it was a very small college, wanted me to coach women's basketball, fast pitch softball, and be intramural director, and they wanted to pay me $6,000 a year. But being the shrewd negotiator I was, I got them to 10. And so it worked out all right. But again, it was something I love, and that's what I try to explain to our players, our athletes. I want them to have a career, a job that they can look forward to going to every day. Because no matter how much money you're making, if you dread 5 days a week, it's not a very good deal. And so you got to have that passion for what you do. Now, there's nothing wrong with having both, a passion and making money. There's a gentleman named Van Chancellor, coached women's basketball for a long time, and he was at Ole Miss and decided to take a job with the Easton Comets, WNBA. But when he was debating, he went out and found his dad. He was on a farm. He was out driving the tractor. He flagged his dad down. He said, Dad, I'm really thinking about taking this job in Easton. And his dad said, no, son, you won't be happy. Don't do it. He said, but Dad, I really think I'm going to take it. He said, son, all your friends are here. You're going to be miserable. He said, Dad, they're going to pay me a whole lot of money. He said, son, you can make new friends. So he went out and he won 4 straight WNBA championships. So he did all right. But the hard work, the passion are important qualities, but also so is character. And I think you can see that in all these individuals that we're here recognizing tonight. I know I want to surround myself with people that that have great character and that are great people, whether it's coaches, whether it's players. I look for that. And I can remember coming out of a conference head coaches meeting one time, and the coach was saying to me, we wonder, how do you always have such good chemistry on your team? And I didn't want to say it to them, but what I was thinking is the way you have good chemistry is you put in good ingredients. And so we've always made a point, I'm not going to recruit someone just because they're a great basketball player. Yes, you need that, but also, we're going to look at character. It makes it tough for my assistant coaches at times because it really sometimes can shrink your pool of candidates that you're going to recruit. But again, I think in the long run it pays off. And everybody says to you, well, what do you do? What do you do besides coaching? I mean, what do you do the rest of the year? I said, well, we just go over to the cafeteria when school starts and say, okay, you 5, come on, you're on the team. Okay, you have to go out and do a little recruiting, and it is a little bit of work. And you never know what's going to trigger the kid to make a good decision and the right decision. When I was at State before, there was an All-American swimmer. He had narrowed it down to Virginia and NC State. He said, I couldn't go wrong. I love both of them. I just didn't know which way to go. And finally, he decided that he really loved chocolate milk, and NC State had chocolate milk in the training table, and Virginia didn't. So that's how it works sometimes. You never know what's going to happen. But I enjoy the recruiting. I enjoy meeting people. I can remember one time visiting, running straight out of practice, went to visit a recruit's grandmother in the hospital, and I was starving. And so I'm sitting there talking to Grandma, and she got a can of peanuts right by the bed, and I'm reaching over there eating them. And next thing I know, I reach in there, and there's none left. I said, oh, Grandma, I feel horrible. I've eaten all your peanuts. She said, Coach, that's okay. I'd already gummed all the chocolate off of them. So it can be tough sometimes out there, okay? Obviously, again, I spent 15 years at UT Chattanooga, and recruiting at Chattanooga is a little different than recruiting at NC State. I was fortunate enough to be around Pat Summitt quite a bit. And when I went to Chattanooga, we agreed to play opening weekend every year. I'll never forget one year we both had 6 freshmen on our team, and so the media was really playing that up. Oh, very similar teams, They both have 6 freshmen. I said, yeah, the only difference is theirs were all high school McDonald's All-Americans, and mine all ate at McDonald's in high school, okay? So it was a little different. But that's what's great about being at NC State. We have a lot of resources. We can travel, recruit. I'm going in a little over a week. We have a young lady that just signed with us from New Zealand. I'm going over there to visit with them a little bit. At Chattanooga, international recruiting was going to Paris, Tennessee, or Rome, Georgia, okay? So a little bit different level. But we have a lot of resources once they get there as well. And obviously, academics, we have tutors, we have academic advisors, mentors, you have everything you need there to excel. And different people have different levels of expectations in their academics. Again, when I was at Chattanooga, I had a young lady, unbelievable person, and she was nervous about telling her mom that she was going to switch her major, and her new major was going to be sports and leisure. So I told her, I said, listen, I'll call your mom. Her mom was a coach. I could relate to her. I called her mom. I said, listen, she's going to switch her major. She said, what to? I said, sports and leisure. She said, that's what she's been majoring in. I said, yeah, but now she's going to get credit for it, okay? So, it's great that they are able to get the resources to excel. Also, they do all kinds of other sports psychologists we have now. We have chiropractors, masseuse, nutritionists. I'll never forget one time nutritionists had me sit in on one of their meetings with athletes, and she looked over at me in front of all the athletes and said, Coach, what do you think the food that you eat that maybe has caused the most harm or has been maybe the thing that's hurt you the most? I thought for a minute, and I said, well, probably wedding cake. So, come on. Red meat or Coke, you can get over a while. That wedding cake, it sticks with you for a long, long time, okay? So, but anyway, again, if we could recruit individuals like this all the time, we wouldn't have a whole lot of pain. We'd win a whole lot of games, okay? I can promise you that. And in sports and in coaching, everything is, what have you done for me lately? And I'm about wrapping it up here. Again, this was a tough act to follow. I'm used to being out on the caravan with the football coach and the men's basketball coach, okay? It's pretty easy to follow them, all right? These people were tough. But I can remember them telling the story about Coach Valvano. The summer after they won the national championship, they were out recruiting and, out speaking on the caravan. And some guy in the back of the room yelled, "We love you, Jimmy." And he said, "Wow, that's great. That's great. I appreciate it." He said, "But what if we go 500 next year?" And the guy yelled at him, "We'll still love you and we'll miss you." Okay? So, again, we understand you got to keep winning. And, again, it's been an honor to be here surrounded by greatness. And thank each of you for what you've done to inspire the rest of us. Like I said, just seeing the videos and hearing you guys speak, unbelievable. So I'm so thankful I was able to be here tonight. Congratulations again. Thanks for being such great examples for us. And let's hear it one more time for the Coastal Bank and Trust Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Hall of Fame inductees. Thank you.
I have an exciting announcement to make. The host of the 2019 Coastal Bank and Trust Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Hall of Fame, Coach Wes Moore, has already said he's going to be back next year. Thank you so much, Coach, for being here. Looking forward to that. Wes, Coach, come on back up. Scott's got one thing that we'd like to give you for being with us here tonight.
Just wanted to thank Wes and Jones for being here tonight. A very small token of our appreciation for you being here each. Thank you all very much. Also, real quick, while I have the mic, a lot of the media outlets would like our inductees up here after we're finished for a photo opportunity. So if you would please come up, and David, if you'll join them up here, please. Thank you.
All right, congratulations one more time to everybody inducted tonight. We've really recognized some of the best that Onslow County has to offer this evening, and would like one more time, let's give all those Hall of Fame inductees one final round of applause. We'd also like to thank our sponsor one more time, Coastal Bank and Trust. So excited that that is a relationship that will continue. If you know of anyone that you feel should be inducted into the Coastal Bank and Trust Jacksonville-Onslow Sports Hall of Fame next year, we strongly encourage you to nominate them. The deadline is October 31st to be considered for the class of 2019. You can do that online at playjosc.com. Playjosc.com. And again, the deadline is Halloween, October 31st. One quick reminder about the silent auction. If you want an item, please stop at the table on your way out to claim that item. We look forward to seeing you next year. Coach Moore is already working on his material to lead the program. It's been another terrific event this year as we honor the best of the best here in Jacksonville and Onslow County. Have a wonderful night for the rest of the evening, and please drive home safely.